بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أما بعد. So last lesson we explained the main concept that's going to be covered in الدرس الرابع عشر, lesson 14, and that is constructing the fi'l amr, the imperative form, the command form. So in this lesson we're going to read the passage and set the exercises as homework inshallah. And this passage takes place in a classroom, conversation between the teacher and the students. الدرس الرابع عشر, the 14th lesson. المدرس, the teacher says, من بالباب, who is at the door. طالب, a student says, أنا طالب جديد, I am a new student. المدرس, the teacher says, أدخل, enter, is commanding him to enter. ما اسمك, what is your name? We learned how to construct the fi'l amr in 4 steps. Step number 1, we take the fi'l amr from the mudari' mukhatab, the second person pronouns from the conjugation table of the fi'l mudari'. So تدخل, تدخلان, تدخلون, تدخلين, تدخلان, تدخلن. That's step number 1. We take it from that middle part of the conjugation table from the fi'l mudari'. Step number 2, we have to remove the harf al-mudara'a. In this case, it's going to be ta. After removing harf al-mudara'a, the fa'ul kalima starts with the sukun. So we have to introduce hamzatul wasl to allow us to begin reading this word with a haraka. The hamzatul wasl may have one of 2 harakat, a dhamma or a kasra. This is determined by looking at the third letter. So we count from the start, including the hamzatul wasl, 1, 2, 3. If the third letter has a dhamma, the hamzatul wasl is going to have a dhamma. But if the third letter has anything other than dhamma, the hamzatul wasl is going to have a kasra. That's step 3. So that's why we have udhu. Then step number 4, which was the most challenging of the 4 steps, is regarding the ending of the fi'l amr. How does it end? We know that it's going to be mabni, but in terms of it being mabni, it's going to be mabni on that which its mudari' is majzoom on. When the fi'l mudari' that the fi'l amr was taken from is made majzoom in the mudari' state, how does it become majzoom? What's the sign of it being majzoom? The same sign that it is majzoom on in the mudari' is going to be the same sign that it's going to be mabni on. With this one, this is taken from تدخل. تدخل is a fi'l mudari' mu'rab which has no additions. To make that majzoom, we give it a sukun. The last letter takes a sukun. So in the amr, it's going to be mabni on sukun. It's going to be mabni on sukun. And we also said that the fi'l amr has a fa'il. In all of the conjugations of the fi'l amr, it's going to be present. The fa'il is a dhamir, which is present. It's either going to be alif, or waw, or ya, or noonul inath. Those are the dhamair which are visible in the conjugation table for the fi'l amr. Except for when you're commanding the male, a singular male, rather it's going to be hidden in all cases, and it goes back to anta, like here. Udkhul, you're commanding a singular male and you're telling him udkhul, and the amr is anta. Udkhul anta. Where is anta? Anta is dhamir mustatir, is always going to be hidden. So udkhul, he is commanding the student who is a male, udkhul, enter. Masmuka, what is your name? At-talib, the student says, ismi Humayunu, my name is Humayunu. Al-mudarris, the teacher says, Humayun, maybe this is the first time he's heard this kind of name. So he says, كيف تكتب هذا الاسم? How do you write this name? تكتب فعل مضارع. The fa'il is أنت, hidden. هذا is the مفعول به, and this is بدل. That's why it takes a فتحة. كيف تكتب هذا الاسم? How do you write this name? اكتب. اكتب is the فعل أمر, and then we have ضمير نصب. ضمير نصب is attaching to the fi'l. Whenever this type of ضمير, هو, هما, هم, ها, هما, هن, كا, كي, كما, to the end. We've discussed these. Whenever they attach, whether to the fi'l madi, the fi'l mudari, or the fi'l amr, they're going to come in the place of maf'ulun bihi, the object. Uktubhu, if we was to analyze this, this is a sentence of its own. So uktub fi'l amr. Uktub fi'l amr. Where is the fa'il? The fa'il is the same as this here. It's damir mustatir. You're commanding anta. It's always going to be hidden. Anta. So damir mustatir anta. That's the fa'il. And the ha is maf'ulun bihi. So we translate it as uktubhu, write it. The teacher is telling him, write it, commanding him, write it. Yani write your name. Uktub al-ism. Ism is mudhakkar. So uktubhu, write it. Ala hadhihi al-waraqati, on this paper. Waraqah is paper. At-tullab, the students. Ya ustadh, O teacher. Ha huna aqrabun. Ha huna aqrabun. Here there is a scorpion. There is a scorpion. This ha is the same ha that attaches to the asma al-ishara. When you say hadha, hadhihi, hadhani, hatani, haulai. This ha is harfu tanbih. It's a particle of tanbih. Tanbih means warning. It's used to attract attention, to draw attention. You're going to say something that's important, so you say ha. It's like in English or in slang when you say oi, yo. Similar meaning, yo. Like to draw the person's attention, and then you mention what you're going to say. So if we removed it, huna aqrab, here there is a scorpion. But when you say ha huna aqrab, it's like, yo, there's a scorpion here. You want the person to focus, you want to attract his attention, because what you're saying is important. So ha is actually written with an alif. Ha at-tanbih is ha and alif. But it's removed when it joins to huna. Just like hadha, we pronounce the alif, but we don't write it. Likewise here, ha huna, that's why he's written that small alif there, just to allow you to understand that the ha is stretched. So the alif is stretched, but it's not written. Just like hadha and hadhihi, we have an alif after the ha, which is pronounced but not written. What's the name of this ha? It's called ha at-tanbih. Ha at-tanbih. Ha that is added to attract attention. So what are we trying to say? We're trying to say that the ismul ishara is only the. This is not something that I've mentioned before. Didn't want to confuse you before, but because it's mentioned here, I thought I should mention it now. The ismul ishara is actually just the by itself. The, this. But when you're pointing something out, you want to attract people's attention. That's why you add the ha and you say hadha. And likewise, the is the ismul ishara, or dhihi. But we add the ha to attract people's attention. And likewise, ulai is the ismul ishara, but we add ha ulai to attract attention. The harf tanbih is additional to the ismul ishara. It's not part of the ismul ishara. It's an extra letter that's there, which comes to attract attention. It comes to attract attention, to show people that what you're going to say is of importance. So we could remove it and say huna aqrabun. Here there is a scorpion, but because we want to attract attention, we add ha huna aqrab. Here there is a scorpion. The alif is pronounced but not written. Al-Mudarris, the teacher says, aqrabun fil fasl, ayna hi? A scorpion in the classroom, where is it? One of the things we need to take away from this sentence is we've learned that the mubtada is usually ma'rifah. The mubtada is usually ma'rifah because you're going to speak about it, you're going to inform about it. And usually you give information about something that is known. Something that is known. But there are instances where the mubtada comes as a nakira. One of those exceptions for it to come as nakira is if it's preceded by istifham. Aqrabun fi fasli, a scorpion in the classroom. Ayna hiya, where is it? The students at Tullabu, they say, Unzur huna ya ustad, look here, O teacher, it is under Hisham's desk. So once again here we have a fi'l amr taken from the madi was nadhara, yanzuru, but we don't take it from yanzuru, we take it from tanzuru. Tanzuru, tanzurani, tanzuruna, tanzurina, tanzurani, tanzurna. So from tanzuru, we have applied the 4 steps to get to unzur. Step number 1, you take it from the mudari' al-mukhatab. Step 2, remove the ta' al-mudara'a. Step 3, add hamzatul wasl because it starts with a sukun. And the hamzatul wasl is going to be read with a dhamma because the third letter has a dhamma. Step 4, we give a sukun to the end. Unzur, look. Where's the fa'il? The fa'il is anta, dhamir mustatir, hidden dhamir anta. Look here, ya ustad. It. So we learn here that aqrab is mu'annath. And this is something that we need to implement. When we come across a new word, we need to be able to pronounce the word correctly, to write the word correctly, understand its meaning, and then we also need to learn its gender. So here he's giving us its gender by mentioning here, referring to the aqrab. It is an indication that it is mu'annath. Likewise, we should also learn its plural, and we should also try and include it in a meaningful sentences. This is a nice sentence. Ha huna aqrab. Right here there is an aqrab. طيب. Those things are good for building vocabulary, learning how to pronounce the new word, learning how to write it, its meaning, its gender, its plural, and an example sentence. If you have a notebook and you continue doing this, inshallah, you will gather a lot of vocab, which is the most important element of learning a new language, vocab. هي تحت مكتب هشام. It is under Hisham's desk. المدرس اقتلوها يا إخوان. Kill it, oh brothers. So this is taken from تقتلون. So تقتل, تقتلان, تقتلون. From تقتلون, he's taken this. So what has he done? تقتلون, we've applied the first principle, take it from the مضارع مخاطب. Second, remove the ta. So تقتلون. Then we introduce the hamzatul wasl, and it takes a dhamma because the third letter has a dhamma. uqtulun. Then the fourth rule is because taqtuluna, when it's majzoom, we remove the noon. Likewise in the amr, we're going to make it mabni by removing the noon. So it's going to be uqtulu. So uqtulu is fi'l amr. Where is the fa'il? Waw al-jama'a. What's this ha that's attached? This is coming as maf'ulun bihi. Uqtuluha, you all, he's commanding the group of males, you all kill it. Uqtuluha. If he was commanding one person, he would say uqtul, uqtulha, kill it. Uqtuluha, all of you kill it. Ya ikhwan. Al-Tullab, the students, they say bima naqtuluha, with what should we kill it? What should we kill it with? B is harf jar, ma is ismul istifham, and we covered this rule that when the ma al-istifhamiyya is preceded by harf jar, we remove the alif. We remove the alif to differentiate this ma from another ma which is going to be taught inshallah. Bima naqtuluha, with what should we kill it, or what should we kill it with? So naqtulu is fi'l mudari'. We know because it starts with a noon which indicates nahnu. And then the fa'il is going to be dhamir mustatir nahnu, always nahnu. And then ha is maf'ulun bihi. Al-Mudarris. Uqtulha. So this is what we was explaining. Uqtulha. Kill it. He's commanding one person now. B. Kill it with. Kill it with hidha'ika. Hidha'un is a shoe. Kill it with your shoe, ya Hisham. Uqtulha bihidha'ika ya Hisham. Kill it with your shoe, O Hisham. Amatat. Has it died? Mata. Fi'l madi. Died. So mata. Mata. Matu, matat. Here, the scorpion, it died. The scorpion died. Because it's mu'annath, we've used the ta'nith a second. Hisham, na'am, yes, matat, it has died. Al-Mudarris, ijlisu ya abna'i. Sit down, commanding the students, O my children. So this is taken from tajlisuna. Tajlisuna. Apply the principles. So we remove the harf al-mudara'a, we bring the hamzatul wasl because it starts with a sukoon. The hamzatul wasl takes a kasra because the third letter is other than dhamma. Then we remove the noon because it's majzoom. By removal of the noon, we make a mabni by removal of the noon also. And then once the noon is removed, we add alif. We add alif al-fariqa to indicate that this waw is waw al-jama'a. But if there's a dhamir that's attaching, we don't need to add the alif. طيب, just like in the madi, we don't need to add the alif if there's a damir attaching. But if there's no damir attaching after the waw and the waw is the last letter, we add that alif to show that this waw is waw al-jama'. Ijlisu, sit down, you all, ya abna'i, O my children. Iqra' ad-dars ya Ali, read the lesson, O Ali. So iqra' is taken from taqra'u. We remove the ta, it starts with a sukoon, we bring hamzatul wasl. The third letter is other than dhamma, so we give it a kasra, iqra', and then the last letter we give it a sukoon, iqra'. Read, you, fa'il, you're commanding, one male. So the fa'il is dhamir mustatir, anta, iqra'. Here when there's iltiqaw sakinain involving the fi'il amr, we give the end of the fi'il amr, the sukoon, a kasra to come out of iltiqaw sakinain. So we're not going to say iqra' dars, we say iqra'i, iqra'i darsa. Read the lesson. So this is maf'ulun bih for iqra'. Iqra'i darsa ya Ali, read the lesson, O Ali. Ali begins to read. A'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim. A'udhu is fi'l mudari' from aadha, to seek refuge. That's the madi. Ya'udhu, he is seeking refuge. And then when we ascribe it to ourselves, a'udhu, I seek refuge with Allah. So ba is harf jar. I seek refuge with Allah. Minash shaytani, from the shaytan. And then ar-rajim is description of the shaytan, the accursed devil. Ar-rajim, al-matrud, the one that's been banished, and then that's far and distant from the mercy of Allah. A'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim. I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed devil. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. B is a harf jar. Ism is ism. Ism has hamzatul wasl, but because Bismillahir rahmanir rahim is so often used, the hamzatul wasl is not written. The hamzatul wasl is not written, it's left out because it's so oftenly used in this. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim is so oftenly written that there's rules in the Arabic language where if something is often used, it's regularly used, they try to make it easy. They try to make it easy by doing what they can. So what they did here is they said, okay, in this kind of sentence, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, we don't need to write the Hamzatul Wasl because it takes more time. So we just leave the Hamzatul Wasl off. So in Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, it's removed. In other than this, it's going to be written because the other sentences are not as often used or often written as this one. طيب. So ba is harf jar. Ismi is ism majur. One special thing about Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is it gathers all of the types of majrur nouns in the Arabic language. There's 3 types of majrur nouns in the Arabic language. No more. Only 3. And they are all gathered in Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We have a noun that is majrur with harf jar. The example of that is ismi. Ismi is majrur with a harf jar, ba. The other type of majrur noun is mudaf ilayhi. Mudaf ilayhi is majrur because of the mudaf. So this ismi is majrur and it also mudaf. It is also mudaf. And Allahi is mudaf ilayhi. Lafdul jalalahi is mudaf ilayhi. So this is the second type of majrur noun. And then we're left with the third type. The third type is anything which follows a majrur noun. Any tabi', any follower, whether it is na'at or badal or tawkid or atf. Any type of following something which is majrur, then it's also going to be majrur. So here we have a follower, a tabi'. Ar-Rahmani is a description of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a na'at. And Ar-Rahimi is also another na'at. So we have all of the 3 types of majrur nouns in the Arabic language combined in this. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, bestower of mercy. Iqra, read. Bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. In the name, so you see how here it's written, because Bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq is not something which is regularly written. So there's no need to remove the Hamzatul Wasl. But because this is so regularly used, we remove the Hamzatul Wasl when writing it. Iqra, read. Bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. In the name of your Lord who created. خلق الإنسان. خلق is the fi'l madi. The fa'il is huwa, going back to Allah. خلق الإنسان. He created man. Min alaq, from a clot. And this is the beauty of learning the Arabic language, when you're able to pick up the Quran and then you understand words from that. This is great motivation for a person, and this is the objective of learning the Arabic language, to be able to understand the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here we've understood iqra, this is a fi'l amr. Ba harf jar is making this one majur. Rabbi, we know that this is mudaf ilayh, that's why this is majur. And then any dhamir that's attached to a noun gives you mudaf ilayh. We know alladhi is ism mawsul, that which comes after is silatul mawsul. Khalaqa is madi, we look for the fa'il. If there's no fa'il, we assume that it is huwa, that's hidden. Insana is the mudaf ilayh, is the maf'ulun bihi, this requires a maf'ulun bihi, this is the maf'ulun bihi. Min harf jar, alaqin is mid. This is beautiful. When you're able to do this and you understand ayat and you can read tafsir and benefit from the scholars, benefit from the ahadith and understand, this is the greatest motivation. This is what pushes us to learn the Arabic language. And as an advice, I advise my brothers and sisters who are following these lessons not to be of those who, whenever they come across a new advertisement full of colors advertising a new lesson, Arabic lesson that's about to start, it causes them to leave off what they are currently studying and go to start a new lesson. I've seen this a lot, and this is something which is a great hurdle for students of knowledge. So they stop what they're studying after what they've benefited and they go join a new lesson. And then when they're studying that lesson, another advertisement pops around, another teacher or another class is advertised, and with more colors, and it looks more dramatic and it sounds more nice, and they go and join that one, and they don't finish that book which they left the first book for. And there's a silsila, it's a chain, and they don't benefit, and years go by and they're jumping from one lesson to another. So if you know something is beneficial for you, at least do your best and commit yourself to completing the lesson. The advantage of these videos is that you can do it in your own time. You're working during the weekdays, okay, weekends I'm going to set my time out to do 2 lessons or 3 lessons according to your own ability, your own pace. That's the benefit. And you can go and visit the lesson whenever you want, as many times as you want, and you can also ask questions. And inshallah, as you can see in the comment section, I try my best to answer the questions. So you ask a question and I'll get back to you. And best of all, it's free. You see lessons getting advertised, and a lot of the times it's like £60, £65, £20 a month, and so on. And you don't get that service that you're getting here. Even though this is free, I think I provide a better service. With those ones, maybe they limit the number of questions you can ask. They limit the time that they can give you, the time that's offered to you. If you want more time, you have to pay extra. This is not how our lessons work. Our lessons, we give you as much as we can so that you can understand. Because when you go and pick up a Quran and you are able to understand the Quran, I get the ajr. I, the person who taught you, and you, whoever you teach, and they, whoever they teach, we get a silsila, it's a chain of ajr going to everyone in that line of teaching. This is our motivation. Our motivation is to be able to teach people how to understand the Quran, how to increase their iman. When their iman is increased and they are more pious and they fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they do righteous deeds because of the inspiration that they have understood from the Arabic language or from reading the Quran, we get a share in that ajr. And this ajr is continuous. From the sadaqah jariyah, greatest sadaqah jariyah is disseminating knowledge. It benefits you even while you're in your grave, so long as people are implementing that beneficial knowledge. طيب, I hope you take this advice, ikhwan. Ya Ustad. So after reading the lesson, Ali has read the lesson now. After reading the lesson, he says, Ya Ustad, O teacher, حفظت هذه السورة, I memorized this surah. حفظت, حفظ is the fi'l madi, the ta which is attached is the fa'il, هذه is مفعول به, السورة is badal, that's why it's taking a fatha. I have memorized this surah. أي سورة أحفظ بعدها, which surah should I memorize after it? حفظ يحفظ فعل مضارع, he's ascribing to himself. أحفظ أنا, so this is a transitive verb, it has no maf'ul, so أي is going to be the مفعول به, and it's مضاف إليه. Which surah should I memorize after it? المدرس, احفظ, memorize. So تحفظ, we took off the ta, added hamzatul wasl. The hamzatul wasl take kasra because the third letter has other than dhamma, and then the last letter takes a sukun. احفظ, the fa'il is أنت, ضمير مستتر أنت. احفظ سورة التين, this is مفعول به. Memorize سورة التين, and then مضاف مضاف إليه. خذ دفترك. طيب, with this one, this is an irregular, it's irregular when it comes to the فعل أمر. So its ماضي is أخذ, the مضارع is يأخذ. So we have the hamza in both. أخذ فعل يأخذ يفعل. The hamza is there. But when we come to the amr, as we said regarding the hamzatul wasl, when you write Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, because this verb is so regularly used, they wanted to make it easier by removing the hamzatul wasl. So rather than say u'khudh, it would have been u'khudh, because it's taken from ta'khudhu. Ta'khudhu. So we take off the hamza. Oh, let me write it down. So it's taken from ta'khudhu, right? That's step one. Take it from the mudari mukhatab. Ta'khudhu. We remove the harf al-mudara. Then the fa'ul kalima has a sukun. So we introduce hamzatul wasl. Hamzatul wasl is read with a dhamma in this case. So it's going to be u'khudh. U'khudh. Rather than say u'khudh, this is more difficult. And because it's such a regularly used verb, they've said, let's just remove this hamzatul wasl, or this hamzatul qata'. If we remove hamzatul qata', we don't need hamzatul wasl. We don't need a hamzatul wasl because the word starts with a haraka already. So we don't need the hamzatul wasl. The only point of introducing hamzatul wasl in step 3 is if the word starts with a sukun. That's when you need the hamzatul wasl. If you don't need the hamzatul wasl, or if the word starts with a haraka, then you don't need the hamzatul wasl. So we have khu, and then the last step is to give a sukun. Khudh, take. You're commanding the person to take. Akhadha means to take. So you're commanding the person to take. Khudh, take. And it's going to be the same in the conjugation table for the fi'l amr. Khudh, khudha, 2 of you take. Khudhu, all of you take. Khudhi, you're commanding a woman. Khudha, khudhna. So hamzatul wasl is going to be removed throughout the fi'l amr. طيب. So khudh, the amr here is addressed to anta. So the fa'il is ضمير مستتر anta. Khudh daftara is the maf'ulun bihi. دفترك مضاف مضاف إليه. خذ دفترك, take your notebook. هذا. خذ دفترك هذا. When هذا comes after the mushar ilayhi, the thing that's being pointed, usually it's هذا comes first and then the thing that's being pointed. But if it's like this, the other way around, then هذا comes for na'at. It's a description now. خذ دفترك هذا, take this notebook of yours. طيب. Whenever ismul ishara comes after the thing that you're pointing, the i'rab is na'at. We do i'rab as na'at. So daftara is maf'ulun bihi, mudaf mudaf ilayhi, and then hadha is na'at. So take this book of yours. Wa uktub. Uktub is the fi'l amr from taktubu, and then you apply the steps and you end up getting uktub. What they're trying to show you here is, because this is hamzatul wasl, it's not going to be read when it's in the middle of the sentence. You only read the haraka of the hamzatul wasl when you're beginning the word with the hamzatul wasl. Like here, ihfadh. But if waw came, we'd say wahfadh. We skip the hamzatul wasl. Likewise here, uktub. Waw came, waktub. So we don't say wa uktub. خذ دفترك هذا واكتب فيه, and write in it سورة العلق. So he'd memorized Surah Al-Alaq. That's what he was reading. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. The teacher says, احفظ سورة التين, memorize Surah Al-Tin, but take your book and write Surah Al-Alaq. اقرأ. So the method of teaching here is quite good. Whatever they've memorized, they need to write it down. يا أبا بكر. So this is munada, which is mudaf mudaf ilayhi. The mudaf is going to be mansub, and because this is from the asma'ul khamsa, it's mansub with alif. Ya Aba Bakrin, O Abu Bakr, innaka na'sanu. Verily, you are, na'san is sleepy, someone who is sleepy. You are sleepy. Idhab, go. So this is wrong here. You see this dhamma here, they've forgot the fourth step. We need to give it a sukun. So idhab, go, ila al-hammami, to the washroom, the bathroom, waghsil wajhaka, and wash your face. Go to the bathroom and wash your face. افتح النوافذ. There's التقاء ساكنين, so we say افتحي. Open النوافذ, the windows. افتح النوافذ, open the windows يا عبد الله, or عبد الله. فإن الغرفة مظلمة. فإن, because الغرفة مظلمة, the room is dark. مظلم is dark. Because it's describing the غرفة, you have to add the ta. مظلمة. طيب. والجو حار, and the weather, الجو is weather, حار. Why is he opening the windows? Because. So فإن or إن sometimes, even though it comes for tawkid, to emphasize, sometimes it comes for ta'lil also. Ta'lil is to give reason, for something. Why should he do this? Because of this. Similar meaning to lam التعليل. ذهبت إلى المستشفى. Why did you go to the hospital? لزيارتي, to visit. ذهبت إلى المستشفى فإن أمي مريض. I went to the hospital because, comes for the meaning of تعليل, because. الغرفة is اسم إن, مظلمة خبر إن. I opened the windows يا عبد الله because the room is dark. والجو, this جو is معطوف to غرفة. Because this is mansub, this is also going to be mansub. حار, because the room is hot. So all that's left is to set the homework. So I'm going to explain the exercises, inshallah, so you understand what needs to be done and you are able to do it for next lesson, inshallah. Exercises. First one. أجب عن الأسئلة الآتية. Answer the following questions based on the lesson. صحح ما يلي. Correct the following. There's some mistakes and you need to correct it. اقرأ ما يلي. Read that which follows. طيب. So this is a reading exercise. And it goes all the way to the bottom. طيب. Then ضع الأمر من الأفعال الآتية. Place the أمر from the following verbs. So they've given you the verbs. You need to create the أمر for these verbs. They've given you ماضي, مضارع. طيب. تأمل ما يلي. Reflect over the following. And then the point of reflection here is the التقاء ساكنين. You give a kasra to the end of the فعل أمر. اقرأ ما يلي. Read that which follows. مراعيا قواعد نطق همزة الوصل. Paying attention to the principles of pronouncing the همزة الوصل. وقواعد مراعيا قواعد وقواعد نطق الحرف الساكن عندما يليه ال. And also bearing in mind the principles for pronouncing the sakin letter when it's followed by al. So if there's التقاء ساكنين, based on this, you will give the hamzatul or the end of the verb a kasra to come out of التقاء ساكنين. So you need to concentrate or apply the two principles. The principles for hamzatul wasl and the principles for the end of the verb. So if there's you're beginning the word with hamzatul wasl, you have to read the hamzatul wasl. But if it comes in the middle, you're not going to read it. You're not going to say wa ishrab. But here you're going to say iqra. That's what they want you to do. And then the ending iqra id-darsa here. You're not going to say iqra id-darsa. طيب. اقرأ ما يلي. Read that which follows. ضع في الفراغ فيما يلي فعل أمر مناسبا. Place in that which follows, the empty space which follows, a suitable فعل أمر. تأمل ما يلي. Reflect over the following. أقسام الفعل. Let's do this reflection exercise. أقسام الفعل ثلاثة. The types of فعل are three. There's three types of فعل. أقسام الفعل ثلاثة. There are three types of فعل. ماض ومضارع وأمر. ماض مضارع past tense, مضارع present or future tense, أمر command form. نحو, for example. نحو can also mean example. It's also the name of the subject. Grammar, Arabic grammar is called نحو, but it has several meanings. From the meanings is, for example, ذهب is ماضي, مضارع يذهب, اذهب is the أمر. And then الكلمات الجديدة, the new words. أقرب, عقارب, scorpion. حذاء, shoe. أحذية, shoes. جنة, paradise or garden. جنات is the plural. نعسان is someone who's drowsy. Description. Same as كسلان, فعلان, ممنوع من الصرف. مؤنث is نعسة, like كسلة, غضبة, and so on. كوب is a cup. أكواب, cups. صوت, voice. أصوات, plural. يد, أيد or الأيدي. If it has al, the ya appears, becomes أيدي, الأيدي. This type of nouns similar to madin. If al comes, it becomes al-madi. غال الغالي. طيب. يد is a hand. That's the plural. زوج is spouse, partner. It can be used to refer to the husband or the wife. للمذكر والمؤنث, for the مذكر and the مؤنث. مذياع is radio. جو weather. غريب stranger. غرباء strangers. موسى is a razor. مظلم is dark. In the sentence we had مظلمة because we was describing something which is feminine, so they added تاء التأنيث. كنس يكنس is to brush. نظر ينظر to look. سكت يسكت to be quiet. جمع يجمع to gather or collect. طبخ يطبخ to cook. قطع يقطع to cut. حلق يحلق to shave. عبد يعبد to worship. علم يعلم to know. منع يمنع to prevent. عاذ يعوذ to seek refuge. Barakallahu feekum. Before we end, we had homework. Sahih. We had this homework. Remember, 5 verbs. I gave you the madi. I said we need to create the amr based on the 4 rules. I gave you the madi for a reason, so that you can apply all of the rules. So from sami'a, the first thing we need to do is convert it to the mudari' mukhatab. So sami'a yasma'u, and then the mukhatab form would be tasma'u. Tasma'u. Then we remove the ta, then we're left with sin. Let me do it. So we start with tasma'u. So from sami'a we've converted it to tasma'u. That's step 1. Step 1. Al-mudari' al-mukhatab. Remove harf al-mudara'. Bring hamzatul wasl because it starts with a sukun. Hamzatul wasl is going to be read with a kasra because the 3rd letter is other than dhamma. 4th step, we give it a sukun, mabni on sukun. Isma'. That's the amr. So let's do the tasrif. Isma', you listen. Isma'a, 2 of you listen. Isma'u, all of you listen. Isma'i, you, a woman I'm addressing, listen. Isma'a, 2 of you listen. Isma'na, all of you listen. Isma', the amr or the fa'il is damir mustatir anta. In the rest of them is the damir muttasil that's there. The alif, al-ithnain, waw al-jama'a, the ya al-munath al-mukhataba, the alif and the nun. So we've done that one. Hafidha, yahfadhu, tahfadhu. Tahfadhu is the mudari' mukhatab. Step 2, remove harf al-mudara'. And step 3, introduce hamzatul wasl. 3rd letter is other than dhamma, so we give it a kasra. 4th step is going to be mabni on sukun. Ihfadh, memorize. Ihfadh, you memorize. Ihfadha, 2 of you. Ihfadhu, ihfadhi, ihfadha, ihfadna. Fataha, we're going to place it on taftahu. Taftahu. Step 2, remove harf al-mudara'. Step 3, introduce hamzatul wasl. And the hamzatul wasl is going to take a kasra because other than dhamma. Step 4, we give it a sukun. Iftah. So the tasrif, iftah, iftaha, iftahu, iftahi, iftaha, iftahna. Open. Next is kataba. So we take it from the mudari' mukhatab. Taktubu. Taktubu. 2nd step, remove harf al-mudara', introduce hamzatul wasl, and then this hamzatul wasl takes a dhamma in this case. And then the 4th and final step, we give it a sukun. Uktub, write. Uktub, uktuba, uktubu, uktubi, uktuba, uktubna. And the last one, qara'a. We put it on taqra'u. You are reading. Mukhatab. Taqra'u. Step 1 done. Step 2, remove harf al-mudara'. Step 3, introduce hamzatul wasl. And this hamzatul wasl is going to take a kasra. Step 4, make a mabni on sukun. Iqra. Iqra. Iqra'a. Iqra'u. Iqra'i. Iqra'a. Iqra'na. Ideally, you're supposed to have 5 different tables for each one. طيب, that's what was set as homework. Me, I've just went over it quickly just to give you an idea of how the amr should be. طيب, barakallahu feekum. What's expected from you next lesson is you should have completed the homework for lesson 14 and read over lesson 15 to prepare yourself for what's to come, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.